Okay, well, this is my first review ever, so you'll have to bear with me on this. But I feel like I had to make it just because um, I reached out to Midgards Messer, and I wasn't, uh, let's just say, thrilled with their response on the issue that I'm having, especially with a knife that costs so much. It seems like the quality should be there, and sort of these problems, kind of shouldn't be popping up. So on the surface, it looks great. Um, it's a really good looking knife. It's got titanium scales here, pretty much a 1/4 inch thick blade. Uh, you know the I'd say my first gripe with the knife was probably the clip. As you can see, the clip is kind of bulky, and just it's supposed to be a Thor's hammer, but the knife's already pretty big. It's kind of I also feel like it could be a deeper carry. As you can see, it doesn't sit very well low in the pocket. Um, but the reason I got this knife is this here is a feature that they offer, and I haven't seen it on very many other knives. Pretty much, you're supposed to be able to, I'll just show you. You remove this, apparently it's like a law in Germany that a knife has to be operated by two hands. So you remove that pin there and you could insert it here, tighten it down, and it's supposed to give you, uh, well, I don't even know if it's supposed to give you a good lockup or not, but you get the appearance that this knife is, pretty big, sturdy, uh, durable. Like I said, it's thicker than the blade is thicker than a lot of pocket knives out there. Um, and you can actually probably see, and we'll start here. This knife I initially got because I thought it would be useful as a bushcrafting knife to split wood for kindling. And it looks good enough, looks thick enough, and you'd assume that it would hold up. But as I was sort of batoning it with other logs, so nothing too crazy. Um, you've got this chip here, and so the blade is. I don't know if you can see the steel. Focus. Wow, really? Okay, well, the blade is CPM D2, and the so the blade is CPM D2. The scales are titanium, and then the liner is just, I'm just gonna call it pot steel at this point. Um, and to get to the main point, other than the chips here on the blade from just simple, woodworking stuff, um, my issue is the lockup. So I don't know if you can see the light there, but this is where the blade should meet with the knife, and there's actually, you can see it there. This is with the screw inserted, and it's still moving around quite a bit. And if you can see here, it's the surfaces aren't mating up very well. So this also moves with the blade. So for something this thick, it's they definitely advertise these knives as, strong, durable, kind of, Greek type tools. Um, this one certainly isn't, especially for $300, almost $400 to your door. That gap there is just kind of unacceptable. The machining is great everywhere except the lockup, and that's my biggest gripe with these knives. And that's my issue with their response. So what they told me was that send it in. I offered to take pictures first. Um, Seemed like they were more concerned with validating whether or not I purchased it, which, um, you know, wasn't a good start for me. But then their solution was to send it in and exchange it for a different knife, or um, they would refund the money. My issue is not with the knife, with the way that it looks, with the way that it functions, with the length of the blade here. The blade length is perfect. It's got a pretty slim enough profile, although I think these scales are unnecessary and they could have slimmed it down a lot more, especially by making the frame out of titanium rather than these additional scales. My second gripe with this knife is that the only way to remove and take it apart, clean it, or anything else is a 6 millimeter hex wrench. And that's not really a common tool that people have or use. And the issue with that is when you go to put this hex in there, there's just not enough surrounding meat. You automatically strip the the screws when you go to service the knife, take it apart, swap the scales. It comes with plastic scales and the titanium scales. So both of those things are, enough to deter me from wanting to buy this knife again. But I think overall, the biggest issue is that, and the reason I'm unhappy is because even if I exchange this knife for another one, um, all of their lockups seem to be pretty weak designs. These might be. I think some people might use the excuse that they're collectibles, but to me, if a knife is this big, advertised as durable and rugged, the lockup should be probably the strongest point on this knife. And as I've shown you, it just isn't, and it isn't that way for any of their blades. In fact, I've got a Spyderco um, with a compression lock that's held up better to, bushcrafting than this. And there might be some people that say, oh, a knife isn't meant for bushcrafting, or a knife is meant for this, or meant for digging out arrows. To me, a knife is a tool that you're supposed to pull out and be able to use like any other tool. And if I'm going to spend that much money on a tool, I expect the machining and quality and customer service to be a lot better. And that's just the plain facts. I hate to do this because um, they seem like an otherwise good company. They're on social media. The designer seems to care a lot about the knives and stuff, but to me, they're overlooking the most important part, and that is the lockup. On any knife, especially one with this much steel, that machining, everything has to be perfect. Um, and if you're relying on this to first of all, it's tapered, so here it's not even making contact with this pin. The only place this pin is making contact is on this side, and possibly through the blade there's a little wiggle room. So you're using this part of the knife here to give you all the strength when you have all of this metal here, this entire blade. I mean, there's just so much metal on this blade that you'd think uh, you know, there shouldn't be daylight coming through the lockup there. It's it's a great fidget knife, and maybe that's part of the issue, is that the more you fidget with it, the more you sort of, you know, wear out at the lockup. But I certainly won't be buying another knife from them. I can't even justify it to me, let alone the wife, you know. And while it's definitely fidgetable, it's a sharp looking knife, very clean. It sounds great, the action sounds great, but to me, the parts that matter in a knife, such as the hardware, the lockup, um, the durability of a knife, it just seems that Midgard Messer is falling short, especially for a $400 knife. I'd expect the materials to be, I'd expect a lot more titanium, if I'm being honest, and a much better performing knife. Like I said, I've got a Spyderco that outperforms this knife in every way. The metallurgy's better. I don't know. It seems like they might be outsourcing the construction of their knives to maybe China or something. Talking about Midgard Messer. And unfortunately, with that comes bad quality control, and probably zero durability testing. So I thought about doing a durability test on this, but it wouldn't last. I mean, it wouldn't even be worth it. And for something, you know, this big, I mean, hello, you'd think this would be a solid knife. But it looks pretty. It definitely looks pretty. And maybe there are guys who spend that money to collect a knife, but I like to buy quality tools. And this is a tool to me. And unfortunately, it's just not going to cut it. No pun intended. So here's what comes in the box. You know, it's a little rag to clean it. I mean, who's cleaning their knives? I mean, maybe collectors or something. Here's the card, and here's a sticker. And the scales, these plastic scales, I guess they think maybe somebody would want to use these. They do have a little bit better grip than the titanium, but you know, you pay a lot of money, you kind of want titanium kind of everywhere. And that's not really a valid complaint, since I knew it wasn't titanium everywhere. But they don't advertise anywhere what this steel is made from. So you kind of, you know, you could think it's CPM D2, you could think it's a lot of different things until you get it and use it. And at that point, you're stuck with it, or, you know, to me, I need that knife. I bought the knife as a tool. I use it pretty much every day. And so to be without a knife is a huge inconvenience. To return it, you know, this knife does fill a role, but now it's just going to have to fill a less durable role. So yeah, I just think that these knives are kind of overrated and overpriced. And I made this video just in case anybody else, you know, might end up making the same mistake that I did. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. We don't have a lot of videos, and like I said, this is my first review, but I had to post something because I feel like this is the only way us as consumers can get the word out and can, you know, make other people aware. So yeah, all right, peace.